A big factor of us deciding to go tiny is just financial. We felt like we were renting and our money is just kind of paying someone else's debts, but we didn't have the savings or really what felt like the means to get into the actual real estate market. So we thought, well, for roughly the same amount as a down payment for a real house, we could just actually own outright a tiny house. And whether that's a stepping stone to something else, or if we stay in it permanently or whatever, at least we're going somewhere that is meaningful to us.
Our budget, initially we thought we could build the house for $20,000, and the house ended up costing us about 36,000 Canadian dollars. Like that includes every paintbrush, every piece of lumber, every screw. We tracked everything. It also includes some larger items, so about 16 grand over budget, but.
And some mistakes as well.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
We designed it from scratch, built it ourselves, and I think we had some family and friends help us raise the walls and like bringing in the countertop. Mm-hmm. But other than that, it's 100% built by us. We started building in 2014, and we were sort of researching and planning before that. And so I learned a 3D modeling software called SketchUp. The layout came together pretty quickly based on a few inspirations. And then I moved on to actually designing the framing and figuring out every single piece of material that would be required to actually assemble the structure. And that was super helpful because without any real building experience, other than me being an electrician, the 3D modeling really helped like walk through like a virtual build. So when we raised the walls and it actually came together squarely, we were like, oh wow, that actually worked.
So this is the entrance to our tiny house. You walk in and on the left we have a storage closet where we keep our shoes and coats and hang my purse. And we also have kind of an upper level for Jake, and he has a handle here that he can just step up on and access his stuff. And on the right hand side we have a storage shelf where we keep a little bin for recycling, our dog's food and water dishes, and these are dog towels that we use to wipe his paws when he comes in for being outside. And then tucked behind the fridge we have our kitty cat stairs, which are a way for the cat to go up into the loft without us having to keep on deploying the ladder for her to go up and down. On top of each stair we have a little bit of bath mat that we cut up so that as she goes up the stairs it cleans off her paws. And then on the side of the fridge we have some storage for things that we're grabbing on our way out the door. I love my kitchen. It's bigger than any apartment kitchen that I've ever had. We really wanted to have lots of counter space and a large sink, so that's kind of what we based our kitchen on. This countertop we made ourselves. It's plywood, and then on top of it is tongue and groove fur that we stained and put polyurethane on. And under here are the shelves that we just have for food storage and pots and pans. We have a toaster oven that we use, as well as one induction cooktop. So far it's been enough. I usually have like something on there, and then I have like a rice cooker that I plug in. But yeah, it's been working really well. We also built this custom hood fan to go over top of the cooktop and also serve as a shelf for the toaster oven. This is a RV propane furnace. We decided to put our sink in the corner just so that we were making the most use of the space. It also gives us lots of space underneath the sink where we have kind of our own central vac system. So we have a vacuum under there as well as a large dog food bag and our compost. It's just like a shop vac with like a long thing, and this can reach up to like the very back of the loft and all the way to the back of the living room. Jake wired in a switch right here so I can just easily turn it on. One of my favorite features of our kitchen is the Mexican tile that we put in. It was actually one of the first things that I bought for the house. And then we just have some sort of open storage shelves where we keep our plates and bowls and mugs and glasses. And for our fridge and freezer, we just got 2 bar size fridge and stacked them on top of each other So we have the fridge on top and the freezer on the bottom. Before we started actually building our kitchen, we first did a bit of a prototype where we just laid some plywood down and had like a laundry sink hooked up to the water so that we could see what it was like to wash dishes and prepare food in here, and that helped us with the final layout. Another thing that we thought of when we were designing the kitchen is that when you're at the sink doing dishes, you have a nice view, so we have the 2 windows by the sink.
We essentially split up the kitchen from the living room by putting the bathroom in between, which is split into a shower and a toilet room, and it creates a bit of a hall that once you pass through it, it opens up into the living room. And the shower, it was quite a project to achieve. It's the very last thing that we finished. Because it was a weird shape, we had to sort of build this plywood structure, and then we ended up using vinyl decking as the waterproof material because it could just mold to whatever shape we needed. And we were lucky enough to find an RV shower pan that fit perfectly into the space. So another issue with having left this to the end is that we built everything else and figured everything else out, but don't have anywhere to hang the towels. So I used the 3D modeling software to see if I could make a contraption that would be able to clear the opening in such a way that when the curtain is closed, it's all outside and protected from the splashing of the shower head. So the whole procedure would be that you first grab the bath mat and throw it down, and then you swing the arm out, and then you can go in and take your shower, and then when you get out, you're standing on your bath mat, dry off, put the towel back, and then swing it back in, put away the bath mat. The controls for the shower are on the ceiling, as well as an exhaust fan. I ended up having to 3D print a solution to extend the valves down to the ceiling height, and that worked out really well. And also we're really happy with the rain style shower head. With the plumbing being up top, we needed something to come straight down. So everything came together in the end, but it was quite a process to figure all this out. Opposite the shower, we have the other sort of bathroom half. It's just got the composting toilet enclosure, which is built from scratch. So we have a bucket and some cover material, and there's also like a urine diverting funnel thing. Naturally, we were worried that there might be an issue with smell, but the way we've dealt with it is to have an exhaust fan that's drilled through the floor, that's inside the toilet box, and that's picking up any smell or moisture, and then is exhausting it outside. And opposite the toilet box, there's a small sink that's a nice sort of tight profile to fit into the space. There's a bit of storage in the cabinet below. One advantage of having the 2 sort of bathroom facilities separated is that obviously they can be in use at the same time. And like I mentioned, the way that these 2 units sort of separate the kitchen from the living room is something we're really happy with. Back when we were designing the house, the sizes of tiny homes was a lot smaller in general. A 20-foot we considered to be actually kind of big, on the bigger side of things. Looking back at it now, something that we may have decided to do differently is get a little bit longer and put the bathroom as a full unit on one end of the house, which is a much more common kind of layout. The living room serves several purposes. Obviously, there's the nice lounge area where we made this corner couch that's extra deep, just lots of room to sort of sprawl out on, which is super important. And then there's sort of an entertainment center where there's the TV, but also has like a workstation style setup where I can do work and also play games on it. And we've got the dog bed in the corner that ended up fitting perfectly in there. We've got this sort of full height storage area, so really maximizing that corner for storage. The last bit of storage in here is these cubbies that we made by just adding a bit of a bottom to where the underside of the loft joists are. One little detail that we added in during construction was to wire up plugs in there. So just sort of electronics storage there with the power to charge them. And then on the other side, the same type of storage. It is wired for surround sound. So there's 4 speakers up in the corners, and then there's one center one on the desk. This whole setup we've affectionately named the Nerd Station. It's a sit-stand desk in addition to the whole entertainment nature of it. I can just sit at it like it's a normal desk, but it can also switch to a standing configuration. The little carpet here is covering a anti-fatigue mat, and then the TV and the desk can both raise up to a standing height. I thought it might be a good idea to put some handles that I can grab, and I can do things like hang and sort of stretch out the back, and also do some exercises like do some pull-ups. Kiva actually bought me a fingerboard as a gift, so now I can do sort of climbing exercises as well. This hopefully looks kind of like a piece of art, but it's actually our table. It serves two purposes. One is as a dining table. It also is sized perfectly to fit to the left of the main desk to act as a second desk. The table's great how it can pull in nice and close. We made sure to space the legs such that they would miss the supports for the couch. So it straddles around there. It also doesn't interfere with the storage containers we have. And then because we made it, intentionally with this sort of C shape for the legs, it can tuck in quite far. If I want to pull out like the main workstation seating, it doesn't interfere. This is all built entirely from scratch, and I did 3D modeling of it to help figure out all these dimensions and everything. And it really came together to be able to perform all the tasks that we needed it to. This giant panel houses, first and foremost, the actual electrical panel for the whole house. There's a lot of other contraption here that's a bit of an ongoing project of mine. I'm both an electrician and a computer nerd, so this is kind of the fusion of those two things. All the lights in the house are 12-volt LED strips that can be any color and any brightness. And that's all controlled by an Arduino computer that I've programmed from scratch. These wires connect to the push buttons in the house. So basically I can read any button press from anywhere in the house and then write code in the program to have that button press perform any action, which could be turning on the furnace or changing any of the lighting. Not even necessarily in the room you're in, but anywhere in the house.
We have our ladder tucked away beside the fridge. And it's on 2 rails. It's attached to the top rail and it slides along the bottom rail. When the ladder is deployed, it's at a bit more of an angle, so it's more similar to stairs. And we also don't have to pick up and wrangle a totally loose ladder. It will always be attached to the loft. And the width of it is so that it can perfectly fit beside the fridge without sticking into the hallway. And also that when it's deployed, you can walk from the living room into the kitchen without hitting your head on the ladder. In the loft, we have the cat house, which is where the cat stairs lead up to, and we also keep her food. And for the cat, we don't have a litter box because she's an outdoor cat. So on this side, we have these baskets that we keep our clothes in. We have one shelf for clothes that are sort of half clean and half dirty, like jeans and hoodies that you can wear once and wear again. And then on this side, we have hanging clothes storage. We also put this mat down here so that when you're crawling from the ladder to the bed, it's soft on your knees. We designed the loft to be quite large because it was important for us to have a king-size bed. We have 2 windows. One of them is an egress window, and we designed it so that we would be able to sit up in bed without hitting our heads on the ceiling. Both windows can open, they have screens on them, so you get like really good airflow through the loft. Another awesome feature of our loft is we have different lighting settings, so this is full on. There's also a P mode setting, which just turns on red lights from the loft all the way down to the washroom. So if you need to use a bathroom in the night, you don't have to turn on the bright lights. We put in some shelving on either side of the bed with power so we can charge our cell phones overnight. And we have some storage at the bottom of the bed where we keep laundry. So it took us 6 years to build our tiny house from start to completion. And there was a few reasons why it took us so long. We filmed every step of our build and made YouTube videos about it. But also we moved in before it was totally done. And then once we were moved in, we got kind of complacent.
We moved in about 2 years in. In a way, it was a huge mistake to move in. But because we were sort of day to day in here, we got a better idea of the flow. And so we were able to kind of design storage and certain elements around things that we otherwise wouldn't have foreseen.
Our cost of living is much lower. We used to live in the city in an apartment. It's had a pretty big impact on our life. We both quit our full-time jobs and we started our own business surrounding tiny homes. And then both of us sort of work like odd or seasonal jobs on top of that.
I have picked up a little bit of electrician work here and there as needed.
And I also do horse care and I work at stables in the neighborhood.
But we also get a lot of our income from online now through YouTube. And on the website, we sell a video tutorial on how to use SketchUp and specifically kind of targeting how to design a tiny house.
So we're parked renting space on my parents' acreage, and that allows us to be close to my parents and also having the rent going into family land.
The house is 20 feet long and it's built on a 20-foot trailer, which is an Iron Eagle trailer specifically designed as a tiny house foundation. So that was something that we knew that we wanted, was to not mess around with repurposing some other trailer that we weren't sure about the weight rating or anything like that.
It's 8.5 feet wide and it's 13 feet tall, so it's road legal.
We decided to start with we would be entirely on grid. So we have a 40 amp, 240 volt supply, and the major electrical load in the house is the cooking. So to split up that energy demand, we put space heat in the form of a propane furnace, and the water heater is also propane. The property has a well, so we're just connected to that essentially. We wanted to have a super solid internet connection, so we actually have a buried cable all the way from the main house so that we have hardwired internet.
Some downsides to living in a tiny house are, even though it takes a very small amount of time to clean it, I have to clean more frequently. And also just space. You almost have to learn how to like move in the house with someone else.
Do a little dance
Yeah.
to get around in the hallway especially.
It's a positive thing because it makes you not buy things too much, but it's also difficult too when you do need something and you're like, well, where am I gonna put it?
There's a bunch of stuff like all my tools, my electrician tools, and then we have some seasonal stuff and a bunch of things that are in the main house's garage. So we're sort of renting garage space. We'd like to feel like we're taking care of all that. Either we're gonna have to build another shed or something, or have another external space.
What I love about living here in this tiny house is the ability to have animals. It allows me to live in the country and have my own space.
I just love having a space that's so finely tuned to exactly what I like to do. So getting the most out of my sort of computer gaming station, and then the lounge area is just like so cozy.
Please share this video if you liked it. Also, be sure to subscribe to Exploring Alternatives and check out our playlists for more stories like this. Thanks for watching.